And now begins the long ending of Ninja Gaiden. Definitely a very rewarding thing of getting to see the ending. Some games just had one of those things where, congratulations, you won. Ninja Gaiden congratulates you by giving you an actually decent cinematic style ending. Just like the first Ninja Gaiden game, the tower will now slowly collapse, which does, yeah, it eats up pretty much a large amount of the ending, is actually just watching the tower very slowly collapse. Which is, you know, a little bit of an annoyance, I guess, or just kind of dragging it out just a tiny bit. But after completing such a good game, you want to kind of see this tower fall down after taking it out. Like I said before, Ninja Gaiden 2 is definitely my favorite of the 3 Ninja Gaiden games on the NES. I think it's because of the added difficulty of some of the levels, having, you know, the level flashing, you're going to see with the lightning, having the ice level, having to deal with a lot more elements, I think, than you dealt with in the first game. But it's definitely very solid. Unfortunately, when you see the third game, it took a different spin on things. It's a more of a, I guess, a futuristic-esque game, because you're dealing with a lot of robots. Doesn't really make much sense, but I'll explain the whole actual storyline when we get to Ninja Gaiden 3 next week. But they took a different turn with it. Instead of fighting these demons, you're fighting these robots. And I guess that's part of the reason. It also has a little bit of a different look. But they did change up the damage system so that you don't get knocked back nearly as much as you did in these games. There's not as many cheap deaths as there was in the first games. And just like any good Hollywood-esque movie, in the end, good does triumph, and the sword powers up and is able to give a life force back to Irene, bringing her back to life. What I like more about the ending to Ninja Gaiden 2 than the first one is it kind of seemed awkward that Irene and Ryu could actually kind of have even a love thing going, because Irene and Ryu don't even have much time together on screen or in-game in the first game as they do now in this one. So, like, in this one, you actually really feel like, you know, that romantic link between the two characters after having to save her not once, but twice. She dies, you know, and then you end up bringing her back to life. So at least there's that emotional connection in this one compared to the first Ninja Gaiden game. And so I think overall, I think it's another reason why I was always more in favor of this one than the first one. But just like the first one, we get to see the sunset on our two main characters as they kind of just look off into the horizon as the sun will set and it'll turn from day to night, and it'll be our lasting image of Ninja Gaiden 2 before we'll go to the credit roll. As you see a shooting star go by up into the night sky, signifying, you know, the stars come out. And now we get to see the staff credits as they're gonna go ahead and start rolling. Now, interestingly enough, just some information during the credit scene. Someone mentioned that And I never knew until recently that the Ninja Gaiden series as a whole is not called Ninja Gaiden. Now, in Japan, not surprisingly, the name is slightly different, but just even in its European releases, that Ninja Gaiden is under actually a different name known as Shadow Warriors in the European market. I wasn't quite sure, I'm sure someone knows of why that was. I know there's some weird naming issues when it comes to certain things. I think also the Ninja Turtles have to go under a different name now. I guess Ninja is one of those things that's not allowed to be used, or used to not be allowed. I guess there was some kind of issue. I know certain titles couldn't be used, like Blood, for example. That's why Castlevania Bloodlines has a different name in its European release compared to its North American release. And also, there's some weird, like, ports. Now, they have a Ninja Gaiden Game Boy game, but it's actually a game of, it's now in a whole different series. Now, it has Ryu as the main character, but was actually not made by Tecmo, it was made by Natsume, who made the Shadow of the Ninja series, so it's actually part of that series. There's also the Ninja Gaiden game on Game Gear and Sega Master System, which is a slightly different version of Ninja Gaiden. I think it actually is elements of both this and the first Ninja Gaiden game kind of together. I remember playing it as a kid, but I haven't played it for a long time, but I remember a lot of the levels being similar to actually the levels from Ninja Gaiden 2, but with a little slight difference in the gameplay. Like I mentioned in the first video, there's also the arcade version as well, but besides then, the only other game is the Ninja Gaiden 3 on the NES, and then we had that very long gap between Ninja Gaiden 3 on the NES and Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox, which started a whole new, different series of Ninja Gaiden games, with that one, Ninja Gaiden 2 on the 360, and Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword on the Nintendo DS, which I must admit I wasn't a huge... I was really looking forward to at first, but being complete touchscreen control isn't my favorite thing. As we get to the special thanks, which we always know when we see special thanks in any credits, we know that we're actually nearing the end of the credits. As we'll get to see the cutscene one last time with Ryu holding Irene. You get to see the copyright, and then it's going to fade to black and white, and give us our great title of the end. This one doesn't actually thank us for playing the game like the first one did, but either way, I'd like to thank you for watching another edition of Play It Through, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.